Welcome back to Project Brupeg. Shit has happened and it's time to get serious.
Really trying. So isn't this how you get serious? Like, we ironed the worksheets and everything. Well, we tidied up. So we have to have a serious conversation about the launch.
Good evening, welcome to the 6 o'clock news. I'm your host, Jim Long.
So, good news, we've got the final list. That's going to be up on our website, it's going to be up on Patreon, and you can see it in this episode. You can pause now and have a really good look, or use the link in the episode description below. So, this is the last thing we've got to do. Update about Damien's little surgery.
I can't see anything, my glasses are fogged up.
That's way too serious for us. Update on your gangrene appendix, how are you doing?
Yeah, I feel lighter. No, it was awesome. 3 stars, do it again. Definitely recommend. Yeah, I went into hospital because I was feeling a little bit under the weather. I had a wee bit of a tummy bug, I think it was. Went in, turns out most of my tummy was on fire. Chopped it out, all good, rock and roll. No,
it was a terrible first week, you're in so much pain.
Yes, there was that.
Yeah, he's coming right really fast, but he's still not allowed to lift heavy weights, so we're a little bit set behind on the launch. What we thought would be the main sort of stop on the launch was insurance, but we've got 2 companies, one particularly we're really keen on.
Yep.
There's 2 that look like they may go with us, so we're really excited.
Yep.
We say that now until it's signed off.
Yeah. There was a lot of freaking out before we got to this place, but it's looking like it's going to be relatively straightforward, we think.
So we've just got to send some photos in. Yeah.
I can't remember what we're going to do.
Yeah. No. You don't know. It's all a blur, I'm sure, with all the anaesthetic and pain relief.
I don't know.
Anyway, lots of pain relief.
Yeah. The stop to doing the work is physically being able to lift stuff, basically, because I'm not able to lift anything, or else I risk ripping my stitches and therefore delaying the project.
But you guys have all been so great. Like, so many stories. How many people get their appendix out, and how many burst? You know, it's like amazing, isn't it? Really helpful. Some points were so great. Thank you.
Yeah.
But Dame's following doctor's orders and a little bit more.
Yeah, we're being a bit more cautious, just because we know there's so much work to do down the road. We thought like an extra week right at the start is probably going to pay dividends later on. So we're actually being a wee bit more cautious overall than what even the doctors suggested.
And that's what you guys suggested.
Yeah.
Like making sure that he's perfectly right.
So the workload on the boat has sort of changed a bit. Without this appendix thing going on, we thought we were going to be getting into some of the last of the heavy jobs. We can do some of them, but we have to use things like winches and cranes and whatever, and Jess. So Jess is going to be doing the bulk of the grunt work in the next 6 weeks.
So with winches and levers and what are those dollies, pushy things,
trolley things.
like because we're so used to that with me, because I'm at risk of pulling tissues and things if I lift anything or pull anything too hard, but we're used to it, so we've got an advantage. So we thought, well, we'll work to the advantage and get that, use that.
It's going to be a case of we just have to, it'll probably be both of us shifting the bottles around on a trolley or something like that, and then winching it up on the boat with the crane, and what was going to be a 10-minute job is probably going to be a 3-hour job, but that's all we can actually do at the moment. So there's a lot that we can do off this list without doing the heavy lifting. So I'm pretty excited. I think we'll get most of the inside stuff done. We're starting some of that tomorrow. So it's like together we make one person. The words I can't find, you find. Yeah.
The ideas that you can't find, I find.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It works. Somehow it works. It's brilliant.
So we will get there, even though we're currently at 0.75 of one full-time person.
Dame started his new job this week. He delayed by an extra week, but that's been really cool. You've liked it?
Yeah, it's been really cool.
They've been really understanding, and you've been at sort of half energy. Yeah, I've been watching him slowly get whiter and whiter as he's in meetings this week and telling him off, and he overdid it yesterday, but it's okay. You were right today, we're just taking it easy.
Yeah, we're fine. Yeah. And I feel like every day I'm getting about 50% stronger, so it's
than the last day.
So it's kind of cool feeling better and better every day, like knowing that I'm going to be able to, soon I'll be good enough to be able to do a decent amount. Everything's healed up really clean, and it could have gone the other way as well. Like they said it was supposed to be an hour surgery and it was 3 hours, because as they were pulling the appendix out, it burst as it was coming out. So that was awesome, like a fountain of crap went everywhere apparently. So they spent 2 hours mopping it up.
Yeah, and lots of intravenous antibiotics.
Yeah.
We're going to get out of these bloody suits because they don't work for us.
Yeah. We should really do some welding in these.
We should.
Duct tape the ties in so that it's safe, and then weld on.
Duct tape the ties in.
Yeah, we don't want the ties getting in the weld. Yeah. G'day, welcome back. We have a stack of small jobs that we haven't been able to cram into an episode. We need to get these done in order to get Brupeg in the water. So today may not be as structured as normal, but we've got a heap of smaller things that we need to power through. First job, I want to get these arms sanded. So I've feared them. I got a little bit pedantic. I know many people will probably find it hard to believe that I got pedantic about how something has to be anally retentive perfect. I'm the first to admit that I have a problem. I'm okay with that problem. Many people aren't, but I am. We're a Kiwi couple living in Australia who brought a 57-foot steel trawler after she sunk in a flood and was pulled from the sea. We're now bringing her back to life. We're on to the finishing jobs after working on her for the last 6 years to refit and get her ready for launch as soon as possible. Brupeg is rebuilt by us with volunteers funded by Patreons and viewers, and we spend every cent we have to make sure that she's ready. She's fueled by veggie oil, diesel, solar and wind power to do research, projects and expeditions to remote places like Antarctica and the Northwest Passage. She'll be crewed by supporters from around the world. Welcome aboard. I set up in the shade, it's blowing its guts off. That one's already electro braked. You might be able to see the light pole wobbling away there. We've got about 30 knots constant, so it's supposed to be like that for the next 3 days. As you can see, I've skimmed both of these with quite a chunk of epoxy. I'm going to go over now and just give it a quick sand down flat. Basically what I'm trying to do is eliminate the dimples where the continuous welds are between the 3 beams. Not that it's going to make any difference on a boat like Brupeg, but it does in my brain. Trade winds. There we go, so this one's sanded. It needs more in here because you can see this is sanded, it goes that nice sort of grey colour, and then in here it's dark where the sanding hasn't even touched it, it's still a low spot. So it does need more in those areas. So I will be anally pedantic enough to go through and do another skim on that. This is one that we haven't touched, so you can sort of see the difference. There's quite a lot that actually comes off. Most of the stuff that's on the tops of these 3 beams comes off. So in here you can see that we've skimmed it. You can just make out the dimples where the welds are. That should come up pretty smooth. There was a bit more stuff put on this one. Actually, you can see it in there, it's a wee bit low. And if you can see it in the light, you can sort of see that dimple down. So this might need a second skim as well. Rightio, now that those are sanded, it's time to start getting some paint on them. But before I get carried away and get that paint mixed up, I actually want to cut some aluminium plate. We've got some work coming up soon with our nav gear, radar, nav installation, engine monitoring, all that sort of stuff. Up in the wheelhouse, we need to make an aluminium plate that some touch screens mount into. So I'm going to get that cut first, and then that's done and out of the way, and then we'll start mixing up some paint and go through and belt out the rest of these painting jobs. Aluminium ready to cut. Bucket of water mysteriously filling up, battery charger, and a rusty anchor winch housing. What could be going on? The plot thickens. Oh, some of you guessed right. Look at this. I'm zapping it. All of the electricity juice is going into it. Oh. Our slightly rusty anchor winch housing that we need to put together in a later episode, I'm using electrolysis with my DC battery charger to strip the rust off in a gentle way so that I don't lose any of the clearances for the bearings later on. Time to start cutting some aluminium, but literally behind the scenes that can be bubbling away. Let's get stuck into this dash panel.
So close before. It's one way or the other. No way in between.
Still fizzing away.
Look who arrived. It's Duncan. He's arrived with a car full of gear. Damien and him are going to start working on installing the nav and monitoring system that he's created with Dame in the background. This is the first of a couple of trips. We thought you might like a little sneak peek of the system and the radar going in and all sorts. We'll do proper episodes on them soon. As you can see, this is before we painted the bottom of the boat. Oh my goodness, it looks terrible. So that kind of gives you a timeline of when Duncan was up.
There we go, that's booting.
Nice.
This monitor is tied to the North Star kit.
Yep.
These two monitors are tied to the Raspberry Pi.
Okay. Huzzah.
Now we can full screen this when we're ready to run with this. The internal database is working. We've got 128 gigs of RAID 1 internal database.
Yep.
So that means there's a certain degree of reliability with that. I've been running this thing for 3 months. It's only been a few hundred megs of data, so we've got heaps of data and we could log a lot more.
Yeah, okay.
At the moment, it's this little red icon here. I've muted the alarm because it'll drive us nuts eventually.
Yeah.
But presumably, if you walked off the bridge, you'd want that enabled.
Yeah.
So you could hear the thing go off.
Yeah.
If something went wrong.
Okay. Nice.
So now, if we plug in, so this will be plugging in the North Star kit.
More exciting gear from Peter. This is the radar. The guys are just trying to figure out how they're going to mount it on the radar mast.
So the radar plate you've got up on the mast now.
Yep.
Has it got any mounting holes at all?
No, but it's just a big flat stainless plate,
right.
So we can do whatever we want.
Right.
You'll notice that we're wearing our masks, keeping each other safe. There's been a wave that's come through the country, so there's a lot around at the moment when this was done. And we're just being very, very cautious when we're in close contact with each other, taking good care of each other. Go, could
No,
you?
no.
Alright, pull off.
Heating thing.
Yep.
So to extend magnetron lifetime, so your magnetron must be sitting in the head there.
Yep.
Huzzah! We have a radar. Thanks, Peter and Duncan. More on this later.
On the side of Le Brupeg, we have these vents. These have air inlets at the top and then a gap where air can travel down. There's going to be an aluminium plate that gets put onto the side of these, so these become essentially a hollow tube for air to pass down and into the engine room. So air intakes are going to be on the inside of these vents on this side, and then the air goes down obviously through this big box arrangement and into the engine room. What we need to do is protect this from rust. So this is a piece of 50 by 25 box section, and it has a radius. I don't know if you can see that, but there's about a 6mm 1/4 inch radius on all four corners of this box. This is a 3mm steel skin, and when you weld that on, that gap just up in there is really difficult to seal from rust. I've done as good a job as I can with paint and try to jam as much paint in there as possible, but it often ends up with pinholes in these little gaps. So there's a real simple trick that I have to stop rust from being a pain long term in those gaps. This is a trick one of the old trawler boys told me. Paintable sealant. So run a bead down both sides, get a finger with a glove on it and just run it down so you get a nice radius. You can then paint over top of it, and because this is flexible in nature, it basically never leaves the substrate. You're not trying to glue it to the metal, you're gluing it to your first layer of paint, so you end up with an awesome bond and an awesome radius, so you don't actually end up with any not only crap going into this gap, because this is going to be potentially a bit of a grubby area, but also you don't end up with any pinholes and therefore rust down the road. So this is a simple trick to keep a steel boat in good condition for a long time.
You just follow the heartbeat. You were truly my lover, but it was over so fast. Just one thing to discover. Oh no, it was never built to last. So throw it on the fire. Let us use the open door. We're at the end of the rainbow. Oh no, what the hell are we looking for? You just
Because you're painting over top of this, you don't actually have to get it looking absolutely perfect, you just have to get the radius looking right. As soon as you put a layer of paint over top of this, you'll never see any of this.
And we need to get on with some of the rim painting up on the top decks. So we're just heading up soon to do that.
Oh, cups of paint. I've rust killed it, I haven't sickened it.
Oh, right.
Ah,
Yeah, you want to paint it?
paint it.
Yeah. Thank you, Tony, for my bump hat. I wear it all the time now. It is amazing. Thank you. Protect my little noggin.
I agree. You're so close. Keep going, you're nearly there. Just 2 more minutes of bravery. Don't hit me with that. Hang on.
I'm feeling low. Want you to know I ain't got much to show. Baby, I'm slow. Gonna creep into my snail show until the spring liberates me from my winter hell. I've got candles and candy. I can be your daddy if you only let me creep into your prison cell. Hey baby, can you tell I'm not a criminal? Your choice is seminal. I want you to stay true to what's right for you. No matter who or know what will others say. Just find your way and try to stay true.
I know what you're thinking. It's upside down. All right. God, that would have looked funny. This is our dash. We need to cut this marked area out here, and symboled by, you can see this symbol here, this wiggly line. That's my international symbol of cut this bit. I have to do 2 of those because we have 2 screens. We've got the radar on this side and then the chart plotter on this side here. And then we've got a blank panel here that I'm leaving for switches. So we're going to be putting the likes of, say, nav lights, main on off for our navigation gear, that sort of thing will all be over here. And then we've got our secondary gauge set that will sit off to this side, but this is the main one in front of the steering wheel or the helm seat. Right, let's give those edges a clean. I think that's ready to start fitting. Brupeg needs an interior, and although polystyrene and random bits of unfinished steel boat is, you know, pretty handsome, I actually want to make it look quite nice. Now, up in the wheelhouse, we've had some advice. This is a shout out to Lars, one of our Patreons. Him and his dad, they go through the Arctic frequently, and one of the things they said is on the bridge you want to make sure that you can completely black it out. Absolutely zero light whatsoever and no reflection off anything, so that you can see particular types of ice. There's some ice that are really essentially very clear, they're quite thin, but they're just great big plates of ice that happen when you get a lake form inside an iceberg. The iceberg falls over, and then that lake, the ice sheet that was on top of that lake, skims off and goes and sits in the water. They're almost impossible to see. Can't see them on radar. You can't really see them in terms of reflection. You can only just sort of make them out visually, and that's where not having any light on the dash or in the wheelhouse, you know, makes a big deal. So we're using black suede type stuff so that we can essentially stop any reflection from going anywhere, and that's what's going over all of our sort of screen area so that we can black out anything behind the screen. We don't get reflections. The stuff we're using to stick this all together is Quick Grip. It's basically a contact adhesive. So I'm going to spray some on this side here, spray it on the back of our material, let them sit apart for about 15 minutes or so. Sometimes it takes a bit longer, might be a bit longer today. And then sit them down, lie them nice and flat, and we should have a lovely surface to work with. We'll do another coat on that in a sec. This is the opposite side. This is the back of the material that's going on it. No one knows what I've been through, but this is the end of me and you. Set your mind free. Right, once that's dry and once that's dry, I can just basically sit them on each other and press it out, make sure we get them nice and smooth, and then we'll have, essentially, once we've folded the corners over, we'll have a pretty awesome dash panel. Will this work? So it's flattened down. There's no like lumps or bumps in it. It's all pretty nice. What I will do, I've now got to basically flip it over and then fold these down onto this side here. In fact, I could probably do that actually. Yes, I can do that. Let's get that done. Trying not to cover this in rubbish, so that's why I'm not doing it on the bench, but I just need to basically fold this over so that I get a real tidy edge on it. I've sprayed this side and let it dry off, so it's still the same contact adhesive. Right, clean those corners up a bit later. That is our dash. Let's give it a tidy up. But once I cut those holes out of there, we're ready to start fitting this in.
One of the small jobs we really needed to get done is the ventilation down into the cabins below. We tried a fan system with a Doro box and it's too noisy and it just didn't work. We're trialling a pipe made out of stainless panels, see if that works better. But first we've got to get the old fan off.
Doesn't look like it's actually sticking to it. It looks like this is just bloody tight.
Oh right, okay.
Which is great. If that's the case, I should be able to wedge it off.
You make some cuts downwards.
Yeah.
You'll weaken the structure a bit to go to more movement.
I just don't have much. I've only got.
I know, you just have to be really careful, eh?
Yeah, I've only got like a centimetre.
Can you see from where you are?
Yeah. That's all I got.
Worst case scenario, you get a little bit of stainless.
That works beautifully, thank you, Jess. So this is a 8-inch either intake or outlet, depending on how you've got it configured. And then this box basically sits over top of the opening of two pipes. So you've got a 4-inch pipe here and a 4-inch pipe there that go through the roof and then go all the way down the front wall of the saloon and then into the freezer room or the two cabins downstairs. And so essentially we're able to take air from this vent or this opening here and pull it into those two cabins. Or if we have a fan on here, we can exhaust it out, we can pull it out. So it just depends on how you got it configured. Now if water ever gets inside this Doro box, those two pipes are about 1.5 inches above the deck, so you need to have 1.5 inches of water inside here before it'll actually get into those pipes. But if water ever does get in here, on the back corners here, there's a 6mm hole, so it basically drains out. This is essentially a water trap, so it's designed to allow as much air as possible to come in, any water to drain off, and then the air itself to go into the boat.
And we have fans at the other end.
Yeah.
Little fans. And that'll pull the air down. All right. Good way to go.
So it's a bit of a Christmas morning on Brupeg. These things arrived. These are Cnc Gopro Mounts. They screw on to various things that we have. So they screw onto like a little tripod, or we sometimes use this clamp with a ball mount, and they screw onto that. The reason we got these, they're CNC aluminium, is normally they're plastic and they break all the time, and we depend on these ridiculously amounts. So CNC aluminium I'm hoping are going to last a bit longer, which is awesome. They finally arrived. These plugs are going to be going on the sensors for our new monitoring system on the engine, so you'll see some of that coming up soon with Duncan and Peter. It's a pretty amazing system that they've created. Our bathroom fan blew apart, so this is a continuous rated bilge blower. We actually use these to ventilate the bathroom. We've got one of these up at the moment, but it's died, and they are awesome. They move an enormous amount of air, so that's what we're going to be installing shortly into the bathroom to vacuum out any steam in that room. But the thing that I'm very chuffed about, our new modem. This thing has only recently arrived this morning. This is a commercial grade modem. It's a 4G modem, can run 2 and 3G, but it's a 4G modem, and it has 2 SIM cards. So how do we get into it? There we go. So you've got external and external for the antennas, you've got internal and internal for the Wi-Fi antennas, and then you've got SIM card 1, SIM card 2. So this is doesn't have a huge amount of features, but it's a pretty bulletproof modem, which is exactly what we need. So real basic power in, 4 LAN ports, and then yeah, potentially two SIM cards from 2 different networks if we need to, and then external antennas which link up with these 2 antennas up on the radar mast.
Just a little mail arrived, thanks to the marina guys who brought it over. Neither Dame or I could go collect it. This is from Peter in New Zealand. He's working with Duncan, who's helping us to make and install a monitoring and navigation system on Brupeg. Thanks guys, what a gorgeous surprise.
Peter's one of our Patreons. He's been a long time supporter of the project, and he's been through this multiple times before. This whole boat building, rebuilding thing that we're doing, he's done that plenty of times before, so he's pretty bloody experienced about what we're going through. And he's donated a stack of gear from his boats. Peter's who donated the radar system and the North Star navigation system that is on Brupeg right now. So these various parts all sort of link in with that. So between Peter and Duncan, we're building an amazing navigation system on the boat. Jess has been wanting a barometer for God knows how many
We
years.
actually got given one, but it didn't work. It was broken, so that is amazing.
What's this? Oh, I see. It's a like steaming lights, nav lights type setup. Oh, you're absolute
awesome.
champion.
Wow, look at the size of those. Hang on, I've got to put these in somewhere.
These are for a 20 metre boat, not a small boat like our boat. Just lift that.
You can't lift this?
Yeah, lift that light up and you'll be able to see the whole thing.
That is amazing.
They're awesome, aren't they?
Yeah, they're amazing.
Wow, they are pretty cool. Look at that. You can open the top and access the light bulb.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Wow. That is amazing. No lifting.
No.
I will tell you off if you start to lift things.
Oh, it is. AIS.
Huh.
This is what Duncan's been waiting on.
Wow.
So AIS transponder, so I can't tell based off the numbers, but I think it's one of the ones that goes both ways.
Outwork.
Oh, that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Monitor tank levels, tank monitor.
Ah. Amazing.
And then there's a systems monitor, whatever the difference is.
Woo. Just a few.
Breakers, circuit breakers.
Wow.
He's changed his boat to a different system.
Right.
These will come out of his boat.
Ah.
Battery charger. That's absolutely brilliant. I need that.
That is awesome.
What's that? Inverter.
They'll come up beautiful. Wow, Peter, that is amazing.
This is bloody awesome.
But this is just something that came in the mail, gas filters, lots of them.
Yeah.
Keep us safe.
I bought a air separator, but mainly so that I can have a regulator for when I do the air pressure testing on the fuel tanks, water tanks and wings. But it's a really decent one, so I'll use that in the boat long term going forward. So little gadget that I ordered the other
Do
day.
you remember it's in there?
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll keep this out for Duncan's photos?
Yeah. This is something that many people have commented on that should
and
be...
not all politely either, I have to say.
Yeah, Jim Nichols,
but
I'm looking
fair
at you,
enough.
mate. Eventually, after 7 years, we're doing something about it.
Thanks to all you lovely guys supporting us. We can afford to.
Ready?
Woo! Oh my goodness, that's gorgeous.
That's
What do you
Brupeg's
think?
wheel.
Wow. This was your choice.
Yep, that'll do.
You wanted the mahogany look, eh?
Yep, I like that. And it has a little horn, which I'm assuming is 12 volts, which may or may not be wired to a train horn.
Highly likely. So coming up to launch, the bits and pieces are arriving that we need to put in the boat. And a winch that's going above the stairs, and we're going to have a little pulley system so that anyone with injuries who needs to get up and down the bottom cabins can do it. AKA me. A few episodes ago, Dame asked if anyone knew of an air starter because he had an idea about a better way to manage the start on the motor. And they're normally about $4,500, eh?
We got a price for one, and it was $4,500 to suit our engine, which was just like ludicrously outside of our price range. Not even going to happen. That's pretty much the price we paid for our engine. We paid $5,000 for the engine, so probably not going to buy a starter motor for that.
But Ryan
McLeod
came to our rescue. Thank you so much.
He knew of one that was sitting on a standby generator, so it hadn't done a lot of work. It was a Caterpillar 3406 generator. So we may have to modify this to suit the Cummins, but it's only changing, I believe it's only changing the gears, the pinion gear. But this is an air starter to suit our motor. Oh yeah.
Ryan, are you trying to tell us something?
So you can think of this like a big rattle gun. Basically you've got an air pump in here that spins a shaft through some reduction gears and then through to the teeth here. So this is your pinion. It slides out like so and then engages with the teeth on the flywheel and then starts spinning the engine. So rather than having an electric start, Brupeg is going to have an air start. So thanks to Ryan. It was an amazing find and just awesome to have this on board. Cheers.